All right. All right. Hello, everybody. We're just going to wait for everybody to get in. And if you can let me know in the chat, is my sound good? Everybody's good here? Please let me know. I want to make sure everybody can hear me because I earlier my microphone was cutting in and out when I was testing it. I think I've got it fixed. I did some restarts and stuff. I think we're good. Yeah, because today is, well, a big topic, right? Uh, Philippines is one of the only countries in the world that still does not have divorce. The only other country is the Vatican, which is what, a population of 1,000 people, something like that, under the Pope. So, yeah, yeah, it's probably everybody expected it eventually would come here. It's definitely probably. Does that make sense? It is probable, but in what form we're not 100% sure. What happened is the House and the Senate have both passed bills that allow for this Divorce Act. So that's what we're going to bring up on the screen in a minute. Once we know enough people are in here and everybody is responding that they can hear and things like that. Hello to Smurf Crusher is here, and Escape TV has commented here also. It's a relief for those stuck in abusive relationships, especially those who are suffering physical abuse. For sure, divorce courts will be overwhelmed by this new law. And if you don't know, there was a way to get out of marriage here, and that is to just get it annulled. But it's very expensive, like upwards of 400,000 pesos. It's extremely difficult to do. And so very few can actually afford that, and therefore it's not available to those that might be in the biggest need, which I think this comment alludes to. And but under this new order, it's definitely not going to be that situation at all. There is a 40-second delay, so I'm still waiting to hear that you guys can hear me just fine. Everything's good. Please let me know in the comments. And also, I should check on my phone to make sure that my comments are actually refreshing and showing up, because it could be just nobody's chatting right now. As I do see there's 31 of you in the room. Hopefully, everything is fine. Let me refresh this myself. I might have to just check my own. Well, let's see if you can see me, hear me. Everything's good. Come on, somebody, anybody. All right, I'm loading it now. Oh, there's ads. Maybe that's why. Everybody's in the ad right now. All right. I have to go through my own ad right now in order to see if I'm live and well. 2 ads. Well. All right, let's see. Okay, well, my audio is good. Oh, and here we go. Escape TV. Thank you very much. I got somebody answering in there. That's all that really matters. Okay, so let's go to the big exciting thing. Oh, there we go. Phil in the Philippines. Thank you very much. Perfect. Let's bring it up, guys, because yeah, actually, so here's one comment here that this is what I mean. Like some people are saying that that could result in unfaithful partners, stuff like that. As you know, here in the Philippines, um, cheating is a criminal offense. You can go to prison for that. So it is a big thing here. And but then also those who separate haven't been together for 10 years, they have run into situations where they can't possibly date somebody, they can't do anything because they could risk going to prison as well. And there are situations where they got, say, married when they were like 18 years old. They were being stupid about it, they weren't ready, they went and did it. And then 10 years down the line, here they are. The person left right away, by the way, and went overseas, did work, never ever came back. And they're stuck, right? They don't have the money, they don't have them here. It's a difficult situation all around. And now they can't even legally, technically, date anyone or anything. And they kind of got trapped and stuck. So you can imagine, like, that sounds super crazy, right? And totally not a fair type of law. And so anyway, we're going to bring up and see what this new SB 2443 bill is, and we'll go over it real quick so we understand what they said will constitute the reasons that you can get a divorce. Because as we may or may not know, in the West, it is pretty darn easy to get a divorce. Um, the hard part will be if you have kids or whatever, and then you might have a battle. But I'll tell you actually from Canadian perspective before I bring it up. In Canada, everything is decided at the separation. So you do a separation agreement when you break up. And that is actually the most expensive. You have to have lawyers, everything. And if there's kids, there has to, because they have to decide long before the divorce, they have to decide who's going to get the kids, who's going to get visitation rights, whatever, what the child supports are going to be, who's going to get the assets, all that has to be decided. You can't wait because you have to be separated legally in Canada for 1 year before you can get and apply for a divorce. And so it has to be, all that has to be done long before. Otherwise, you have a year of a quagmire, right? And so I don't know if that's the same in America, that you have to do all that ahead of time. And therefore, when you do the divorce, you're just filing the divorce with the separation agreement that was done by lawyers and everything with the divorce. And then the government grants it. So that's how it was in Canada. I don't know in the U.S., so if you guys could share how that works there. But that's what it was in our home law. So let's go in and actually we'll just real quick. Yeah. So Bianca, no, it's Friday night. So she's out. I think it's a rave or something like that. It's at the hotel here on the roof. It's called Haze and it's some nightclub party thing, whatever. So she's out at that tonight. So you're stuck with just me. This weekend's crazy for her. She's got cosplay events and, well, lots of cosplay events. And then this party tonight. Other than, I think we have one thing together this whole weekend, and that is tomorrow we're going to the horror farm together in Pototan at Mapple's Farm. So that's going to be fun, because all these people come out of the woodwork to scare you and everything, and it's good fun. And then also we have a Halloween party on Halloween itself, which should be awesome. So hello to everybody here. Hello. I know there's a lot of people here, so I just want to quickly Mamel, shout out, hello. His Phil M, all good, wonderful, thank you very much. Jeff, Ryan, let's see what else we got here. Canapinos, I married a Filipino here in Canada, but she could not get a divorce in the Philippines. Yeah, so you can get a divorce in Canada, and then you can get it recognized here under the annulment thing. Or if you got married in Canada, but you never registered it here, you're just fine. That's just from my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. So let's see what else we got here. We got Michael. Hello, Michael. Oh, another one here. Shan girl. Jason. David says, I can get an exit visa at the airport before leaving. You know what? I want to know that, too. I have no idea. I know that we need an exit visa after you've been here 3 months. You need permission, basically, and pay some money in order to leave this country. I don't know if you have to go to immigration and do that ahead of time. So if anybody knows, please put it in chat because I also would love to know. And Max says, what did divorce law already been made, Bill? I'm not sure what you mean, but I'm going to bring it up. So I think maybe that's what you mean. What do they have so far? Right now, it's not legal yet. It's not done. It's not official. The Senate has passed it, like I said, and the House also passed their own. So we'll go from there. And hello, Miriam. Hello. All right. So let's bring it up one at a time here. So this one here, there's lots of sites. This is a Philippine Star. And so it's Bill SB 2443 that just recently passed the Senate. And it says you can have grounds for divorce for the following circumstances. And I'm not legal or anything like that. So if you guys understand it better than me, which I guarantee you will, please help explain it a little bit better if you can, because it doesn't say and or that kind of thing. So is it only one? Is it two? Is it still 5 years? I don't know. All right. So the first one is 5 years of separation, whether continuous or broken, without a judicial decree of separation. So you don't even need, I'm going to move, which way do I need to move? I'm going to move over here so I'm not actually out of the screen while I'm talking about this. So it's interesting in two parts. One part is in Canada, you actually have to be separated. You can't you can't get back together for a few months, then move out again and all that kind of thing. They won't count it until you actually have a full year apart from each other. So that's not a good thing, obviously, because you want people to try to work it out, to try to find a solution, that kind of thing. And so I appreciate that they did this. 5 years is a long time, though. Wow, you really, really do know if it's been 5 years. But at least they put in that whether it's continuous or broken. So you can have that trying it out, keep trying to make it work, and you just finally can't make it work anymore. So that's something I found a little bit interesting there. The second part is the commission of a crime of rape by the respondent spouse against the petitioner spouse, whether before or after the celebration of marriage. And so quite interesting. And yeah, I didn't realize it was that common, but it's enough that they put it in there as a specific clause. So I take it, I'm guessing, you don't have to wait 5 years. And I'm sure you would have to have some kind of like somebody has to be charged with it or something like that, some kind of evidence of some sort in order for that to count. But again, doesn't say it, so I'm just guessing at this point. The grounds for legal separation under the Family Code provided that physical violence or grossly abusive conduct need not be repeated, provided further that lesbianism and homosexuality shall not be a ground unless either or both spouses commit marital infidelity. Okay, where's my legal eagles? Can somebody explain that to me? I'm going to say it one more time because I'm a little confused. I'm just going to say the part there that it says, provided that physical violence or grossly abusive conduct need not be repeated, provided further that lesbianism or homosexuality shall not be a ground unless either or both spouses commit marital infidelity. Whew. Bring my lawyers, please. Somebody help me out here. What? Anybody? That is just so confusing to me. And anybody can jump in here. I'm hoping there's somebody here that will understand any of that. And whenever you do comment, I will definitely put it up. A final decree of absolute divorce validity obtained in a foreign jurisdiction by a Filipino citizen. So there you go. If you were married in a foreign jurisdiction, one is a Filipino, then they will issue you the divorce based on the final decree from, say, the United States. Shows, yes, you are divorced, then you can do it here. The next part is irreconcilable marital differences or irreparable breakdown of marriage despite earnest efforts at reconciliation, and a marriage annulment or dissolution duly authorized by a church or a religious entity, or a marriage termination duly authorized by customs and practices traditionally recognized, accepted, and observed by ICC or IP to which the parties belong. Whew. So that last part there, does that mean they still have to be 5 years? Somebody? Anybody? You know what I mean? Like, I read this and I am so confused. And this is the newspaper trying to make it, explaining it to you, the Philippine Star trying to explain it to you in a way you would understand. I can't be the only one that's a little confused by this. Which does it, if you scroll up here, it says grounds for divorce, the following circumstances. But yeah, you have 5 years of separation, that kind of thing. But this whole thing at the bottom here saying irreconcilable marital differences or irreparable breakdown of the marriage despite earnest efforts. Now, the other thing in here is, I think the abuse one is under the Family Code already, provided that physical violence or grossly abusive conduct need not be repeated. So I guess they're saying so that it doesn't repeat. And so that is one of the legal grounds. Again, does the 5 years apply? I don't know. And then it says, once divorce is granted, each party's status will become single for all legal intents and purposes, including the right to contract a subsequent marriage. And that's interesting because in the West, if you get divorced, you are divorced. Like when you check it off in a legal status, you do not get to say you're single again. You just get to say divorced. And then you always have to, like, okay, provide your divorce certificate or whatever if you want to get married and all that kind of thing, where they're actually saying single. Not sure. Okay, so another interesting part about this is, as for poor individuals, the court must waive payment of filing fees and other costs for the divorce. So essentially, divorce will be free if you're poor. And that goes back to that first comment that said that it's going to be absolutely flooded because, as we were talking about before, annulment is very expensive here and very long and hard to get. And now they're saying you got to waive all the fees in order for a divorce to happen. Wow, it will get flooded with tons of people. We know people that were married for a very long time, like 20 plus years. And now they've been apart for 20 plus years. They even live in different provinces and they just live their life. Neither of them date or anything. They just live their life. They're now at retirement type age or whatever. And they're here in the Philippines. I'm talking about Filipinos. And they just do their own thing, you know? But legally, they're still married the whole time. The court will evaluate their independent source of income, property, and capacity to afford the services of counsel, as well as whether they are part of a marginalized group. The Philippines, a predominantly Catholic country, no kidding, is the only state outside of the Vatican where divorce is illegal, as we know. Lawmakers have filed bills to legalize divorce since 1999, but have never been approved. And I'm just not going to read their whole article because we have other ones here, because here's the other side of it. All right, so here you have this retired bishop, and he's saying divorce, it'll be more harmful than helpful. And he states here that, let me zoom that in a bit because that's a little too small for everybody to be able to see that. Yeah, there we go. And he's retired, to keep that in mind. And he's saying that passage of a consolidated measure on absolute divorce on the Senate Committee on Women, Children, Family Relation, and Gender Equality. Let's see, let's just get here. The harm done by divorce to the family is greater than its benefits, is what he said. And I think we all understand that if you make divorce too easy, then people will use it very easily. Right? It's basically how it is. It's just like if you make it too easy to just get welfare, then more people will sign up for welfare. And that's the unfortunate part, because the ones you want to get it, you want them to get it very easily. But then you don't want it to encourage people not to work and to just use the system, right? And so that's the same thing with divorce. If you just say that, like, if you have in your mind that when you are getting married, it's forever, and you really, really realize that the law says that's forever, you're not going to jump into something that so quickly if you know that it really is forever. But then if you always have in your mind, oh, it's no big deal, it doesn't work out, next year we just get a divorce, no big deal. So, I feel like everything is always a balance, is the middle, right? It should be a little bit of a hurdle. And in the West, it's become, a pretty big hurdle when especially if you're going to have children, you can do those kind of things. It's probably going to cost you $200,000 over the next, whatever amount of years, long after. So, and half of everything you work for and all kind of thing. So they do have like a barrier there that says, you sure you want to get married? You have to give up a lot in order to do it. And I think the marriage thing, of two people and being bound together, whatever, it should be a big deal. It's literally one of the hardest things you're ever going to do in your life in order to keep your marriage going and just to balance that. You can't be selfish. You got to, half of your interests have to be aligned with that person's, and that person has to have half of their interests aligned with you. In order for it to be a successful thing, you can't just be about me all the time. It just doesn't work out. So anyway, I just worry that not as much as this guy is saying here, but that if you make it really easy, literally free, then people will just take it for the value that you're putting on it. Am I wrong? I don't know. Love to hear your comments on this for sure. Let's bring up another thing. Here's some divorce stats, because we hear them all the time. Oh, half of all marriages end in divorce, yada, yada, yada. And so let's bring that up. This is by Forbes. It's 2023. But the studies obviously will be based on whatever numbers are available. So in 2021, a total of 689,308 divorces occurred across 45 states that reported the stat. So not every state, I guess, reports. During that same year, 1,985,000 marriages occurred. So making the U.S. I'm going to go do this so I'm a little bit more here. Making the U.S. marriage rate 6 per 1,000 people. So that's an interesting number because it's a third, basically, but somehow it becomes 6 per 1,000. But I don't pretend to know stats and how that works. How many marriages end in divorce? So let's see here. It says, so what about the famous statistic that half of all marriages end in divorce? It's true, but only when it comes to the first marriages. So that's interesting. Half of them are dissolved. Second and third marriages actually fail at a higher rate. And it's funny because I talk to so many expats and they're like, yeah, this is my third one. This is my last one. This is going to be the one. And, but it's funny when the stats say completely the other thing. And they're going to say, why do people get divorced? I think we all understand that. But I did see there was something else in here. You'll notice here also the divorce rate from 2000 to 2021 showing a decline in there. But you also have to realize that there's a decline in people deciding to get married, especially, if you look at the ages. I'm going to see if they have it here. I think it's on a different stat that I have. Yeah, I think it's on a different one. I'm sorry if I'm scrolling real quick there. I was looking for something. But we'll go back to that in a minute. So third marriages, so you're 3 times married, have the highest divorce rate of 73%. These are U.S. stats, by the way. And 40% of new marriages who include a partner who is remarrying will end in divorce. And only 6% of divorced couples remarry each other. So yeah, I guess it's possible you can get divorced and then, you know what, we made a mistake and get back and get married. Apparently 6% do that. So also, this is really interesting. Divorcees are more likely to die earlier than married people. Did you know that? Divorce can have a surprising, long-lasting consequences. One of those consequences is an increased risk of early death. Sadly, the mortality rate is 363 people for every 1,000 of divorcees, compared to only 779 per 100,000 for married couples. But it's much worse for men when you just divide out the men. The mortality rate for them is 1,772 compared to 1,095 per 100,000 for women. So men literally double, almost double, 70% more chance of dying early, being divorced. Very interesting. Majority of divorcees own their own home. Couples who live together before marriage are more likely to divorce. I would have thought that would be completely opposite. I would assume that you've lived together, you kind of figured it out and realized that you can put up with each other and therefore less likely to get a divorce. But according to this, living together prior to marriage is one of the predictors of a likelihood of divorce. A total of 57% of couples who did not cohabitate prior to their marriage had a union that lasted 20 or more years, compared with only 46% who did live together before tying the knot. So again, I didn't expect that at all. This is another thing here. I wanted to show you. I'm going to move it over so that you can see in a second here. I got to figure out why that's doing that. I think it's because I had to adjust it for another one. I just want the chart, and it's moving that one. Why is it moving that one? Don't move that one. No. One of these. Sorry, guys. Just give me a second here. And then I can go up here and adjust this one, I think. There we go. Okay, I got that. Share of marriages ending in divorce. So, yeah, this was interesting too. So couples that were married in 1970 were, as you can see, almost 50%. But then couples that were married in the 1980s. But then also, if you look at the bottom, it's how many years out. As you can see, the longer they're together, the more likely they are to get divorced. And you see that one line here, what's that, about 7 years? I believe it's the 7-year rule, where that's the biggest growth of all of them, is the first 7 years. But it's quite interesting. But people also don't get married that often anymore, a young age and stuff like that. And so what's happening is less people. So then, more recently, there'll be, I think, a lower divorce rate because less people are just choosing to get married or not getting married till they're 35 or 40. and may actually know what they want out of life or something like that. It's quite possible. All right, so I'm going to go to the comments because I would love to hear, and I can go back in the middle now. I would love to hear what anybody has to say about how confusing this whole law is, and maybe have something on here. So hello to Shannon and Giovanni. Hello from Florida. Greetings from South San Francisco. Hello, hello. And from Canada. Canada, of course. Divorce bill in the Philippines is only favorable for politicians there. Even without the law, they create their own divorce law only for the rich. So you must be talking about the existing system. But even the previous president, right? He had annulment, but he had to have a mistress or something like that. Maybe you guys can fill me in. I believe they had a whole thing, and so it was very public. And it was a little confusing. Yeah, there we go. We were all confused too. Exactly. It's like, wait a minute. I'm trying to understand this, but it's a little confused. There you go. Very confused. It's like they don't want us to understand. Don't believe that bishop. Yeah, like I said, he's a retired bishop, and everybody has a right to their opinion, and I have no problem with people having opinions. He's retired, so he does no longer speak for them. And keep in mind, it isn't law yet because it still has to pass, I guess, more hurdles. And maybe you guys can understand it, because to me, if the House has passed it, the Senate's passed it, shouldn't only the president have to sign it? But maybe that's just me thinking of how like U.S. politics or other republics are done. But then I heard that they're going to take into account for the religious groups here will also be able to weigh in on this as well. So we'll see. Yes, whether you have money or not, it'll take you 7 years to annul. Yeah, I heard it's such a pain in the butt here. So, and then you have like this marriage one here. So we'll have to see, because 5 years of separation, I guess that would still make it a little bit difficult. How about marriage contracts with term limits? There you go. So you're only committing to each other for 5 years, something like that. Would your last year, though, just be absolute terrible because you're both like looking at the exit door and nobody really is taking it seriously anymore or anything? I wonder how that goes. Like if you are retiring at 65 and the very last month of your retirement, you aren't putting a lot of effort in. You're counting your days, can't wait to leave. I don't know. But it's interesting. It's interesting. Let's see. Let's wait till the bill becomes law and see how Filipinos react and let their marriages thrive for the good of the family. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, obviously it does matter. But the Filipinos should know what their government is going to be passing, because you have the say, right? You decide what your politician should say, and it's your voice that they should hear in order to do it. And and all I'm asking for, I'm not legal advice or nothing. I'm just trying to understand what I read there, and also ask the important question is the family values that we see when we came to the Philippines compared to what we have in the West. There is so many family values here that do not exist back where we came from. They do exist in some cases, but guess what? Those are Filipinos or people from other similar type of nations that just immigrated to Canada, and they continue to live in that bigger family group, that bond that they all have. But after a generation or two, don't even talk to your families. You move out immediately when you're 18. You don't all live in the same house. You don't do, you just, you don't even talk to your family anymore. It's just what everything has done. It's a clear separation away from family and the values that family come with. And it, like I said, it is quite easy to get divorced, so much that when you get most people that are getting married, all they think about is prenup. And you can see it in our comments when we show properties and stuff like that. They're like, you'd be stupid to buy a property in your wife's name, because they all have the mindset that every marriage ends in divorce. So you're throwing your money away as far as they're considering it. And having that mentality that all divorces fail, oof, that's terrible. Like you certainly didn't go into it that way, but like I think a lot of people shouldn't get married. How's that? Because they aren't ready for it, and they don't have the commitment that's needed. They aren't selfless enough in order to do it, and they really don't have any idea of what it takes to be somebody who compromises on everything. And I don't know. That's just my opinion, but good for the family. Oh, yeah. So you continued it there. I was wondering where it was cut off. Mike says the ones that live together before marriage are less conservative. Totally makes sense. All right. That makes sense, I guess. Because yeah, their families are not as strong, and forcing them to no, you're not moving in with that boy, that kind of thing. I can get that. Um, People being people will make mistakes, 100%. If there's no remedy, then divorce should be legal. Yeah, 100%. At the end of the day, I don't disagree that there should be divorce here. It's the only country in the world outside of the Vatican. Will it be done in a way that will still protect the family values that exist here? Where family is everything and that connection is very, very strong. That here you still have to meet the parents to get their permission to marry, and there's still a lot of values here. So, is the bill on still first reading? No, I believe it's done. Let me see. Senate's already passed it. It's already been approved. It says. I can bring it up. Where did it go? Sorry, I'm going to scroll up. Yeah, there you go. Senate panel has approved a consolidated bill seeking to institute an absolute divorce in the Philippines. Senate Bill number 2443, saying that the state continues to recognize the sanctity of family. It's also duty-bound to safeguard the dignity of every person, guaranteed full respect for human rights, uphold the fundamental equality before law, and protect the best interest of children. And then it says it's substitution of the Dissolution of Marriage Act, which is, I believe, the one that now nobody can afford and takes so long. And yeah, so like I said, that's just the Senate. The House had their own like a year ago. I just don't understand, like I said, of how all goes in. I would have imagined that it just then goes to the president to be signed, but I guess I could be totally wrong because it doesn't say anything like that, so I'm not sure. John says, I know 10 poor women that suffer and just can't afford to get a divorce. They should get a shot at happiness. I agree. I agree. I think we all know that has to be a ton of circumstances for that to be possible. And I know that there are people from what I've read, and I don't know these people firsthand, and so sometimes you have to take everything with a grain of salt, but I'm sure it exists, in that in the poorer communities, men will take advantage of the fact that they know they can't get a divorce, and they will abuse and verbally abuse, maybe hit, those kind of things, their wives, and treat them not very well. And they kind of feel like they're trapped. They're locked into this. And so I get it. Like, assuming that's true, like I said, I haven't met anybody like that, but I'm going to guess that's probably very true in many cases. Then, yeah, they need to have the option to get out. And the fact that it's going to be essentially free if you're very poor means that they don't even have to worry about money being something getting in the way. Magandang hapon po from Las Pinas. I don't know where. Have we been to Las Pinas? I don't think so. But good evening to you too. I'm not very good at the Ilongo, but I understand what you said. All right, so let's see. Oh, just three more jumped in here. Okay, Michael says, doesn't the president still have to approve the bill? Yeah, that's what I kind of thought, but I can't imagine he's not going to. I'm here in Tanza, Cavite, from the U.S. from with my long distance relationship girlfriend. Oh, fantastic. She tells me that even if the president doesn't sign after a certain period of time, it will go in law anyway. Oh, well, there you go. There's something I did not know about Philippines law. I'm just drinking my beer here. This is my party for tonight. Partying with you guys. So that is, unless you guys have anything, I have no idea what they mean by all that, but I do need something here to protect people. But at the same time, hopefully, we do appreciate the family values that are here and the strong bonds that family have. And like people don't realize that haven't been here, that here things are very safe. You can go places. Bianca can go to this nightclub here, right? And she dressed because it's Halloween, so she's got like skimpy, lots of skin. Let's just say that. And you would be afraid if she was going to a nightclub alone like that in any of the other cities I've been to. Not here. Not here. We're a little well known here in the city now, so there's like no secrets. But there's nothing to be afraid of. Nobody's going to grope her. Nobody's going to be weird. Nobody's going to be, you know, sure, guys stare. That these things happen, but that's it. Yes, that's what I got. San Mig Light there, Michael. We're right there with you, buddy. With the cozy and everything, but I'm still using a glass. Oh, there we go. Paranaque City. Am I saying it right? I'm putting the French on that, I think. Paranaque. Probably not. I'm probably saying it wrong. I would just always assume everything I'm saying is wrong. Anyway, so that's it. That's what I feel about it. I was trying to get hopefully some input here. I was hoping a lawyer would be on here. We do have a lot of viewers that are lawyers, and one of them, like in the Philippines, that would be like, "Oh, no, this is what it is. This is what it is." So 5 years apparently separation, continuous or not, and otherwise, if there is rape involved, it says by the respondent spouse against the petitioner spouse. So not if they were convicted of rape some other person, but only of the spouse, which I thought was quite interesting. All right, John says that's true. One lady was told that he only married her to get a child, no love for 23 years. That can't be what God wished on these women. It's just wrong. No, no. Humans are well, humans make mistakes, so it does happen. Yeah, and like I think I hope anyway, even with this divorce, and if it's very easy to get, other than there will be a backlog for a while because it's never been legal here. That if the family units are strong, like the greater family, I'm talking about the cousins, the aunts, the uncles, the parents, the grandparents, everybody, that there'll still be that strong, bond that will hopefully make people not just get married just for the heck of it, thinking, well, it doesn't work out, no big deal. The article that I didn't bring here didn't say anything in there, but I do know that the plan is for the bill will also have in there child support, who will get custody of the children, all that stuff. It will all be in there. And so it'll be interesting what they put into that and how they're going to calculate that. Yeah, because in Ontario, in Canada, they provide a chart. Your tax return, how much money you make, how many kids, boom, that's what you pay every month for the next year. Next year's tax return, boom, you go across, that's what you pay next year. And it gets, it's pretty expensive. Like I said, the average person's going to pay for one child, like $1,000 a month, something like that. Maybe two children, up to 2,000. Depends on your income, obviously, and it can be very, very expensive. And it kind of, in many cases, there's actually a lot of groups about this, about how the law just goes so far for the mothers that the fathers have to live in like squalor because they can't afford both. But that is also Canada. I know in the U.S. there's some states where people pay $300 a month in child support, and that's it, or $250 a month in child support, and the girls living in squalor. So like everything, the answer is always in the middle, and the extremes are always the problem. And yeah, hopefully the law stays in the middle, because then it's fair for everybody type thing, and make it work. And hopefully, fathers, if they want to children in their lives, they can still see them on a regular basis, that kind of thing. Michael says, I hope it does go into law. I know many Filipina that have been separated for 10 plus years, and husbands started new families, and they can't afford to do the annulment process. Yeah, and think about it. That's also scary for the parties there, because if one has kind of moved on, like you're saying here, started new families, she could just go to the police and press charges. It's a criminal offense. You're still married. You can't procreate. You can't have sex with another person. it's cheating, which is a criminal offense here. And so that can be dangerous, right? And it can be used as a weapon against somebody also. So, yeah, yeah, it has to be, something has to be changed, obviously. You can't have that where you haven't even lived together for 10 years, but you can go to prison because you're dating somebody. That's a pretty scary thought, wouldn't it be? All right, so that will end this segment part of it. That will end up clipping that out because I don't, people won't watch hours and hours of just whatever. People just want to hear the small parts that have to deal with that one specific topic. But we can talk about anything in the Philippines here. So, I was living in Tennessee for years, had a child and support payment for one child, and it was about $500. So yeah, and if you let me look that up here. Um, I'm just going to look something up real quick, and let's put 2023. All right, let's bring it up. View. So, in order to reach, would you say one child? Yeah, one child, $500. So, in Canada, or at least in Ontario, in order to have that, one child would be $24,000 a month, a year salary. That's what you would pay. If your salary or your total income you made for the year would be, and that's before taxes, by the way, then your payment is 493 actually. The next one after 25,000, it goes to 511. So to give you an idea there, when you have people making like, say, even $50,000 a year, it is 959 for one child and 1829 for two children. So there you go. So it's quite different in Canada compared to it is. I think California is like Canada though too. Michael says, I hope not. We could be the next USA where couples get divorced almost 70% now. What's happening in sickness and health, death to us apart? Yeah. I think that part's gone. I think now, at least in the West, it's let's do this. It's good for taxes. It's good for splitting duties. It's good for a lot of people. That's what it's come down to now, and we get along, and it just life's easier with two people. Sure, like just sharing everything you have to do everything every day. That's what it's kind of become, and then I don't think it's going to get 70% only for one reason: less people getting married. Like people are just not. That's just not on their mind. When, like when we were all young, your parents were like 18, 19, 21, 24, 23. All the. That's when they got married and started having kids. Now it's 35 to 45. They're getting married for the very first time, trying to have kids at 40, and that's it's just fast becoming that. And so therefore, yeah, it's just the sheer number of the fact that you're getting rid of all of the people who have gone through the stages of being selfish, sorry. Like when you're younger, you only think of, oh, like that's why people shouldn't have kids when they're too young because all they do is say, oh, I can't go out and party. I can't go do this because now I have a kid, and they're rolling their eyes like, oh, I can't believe I have to do all these things. So that kind of thing, you get it, right? Like they probably aren't ready to be married, especially if you're growing up in the West. You generally don't take on a lot of responsibility because life is kind of easy. Your parents have money, so you just mooch off them, that kind of thing, and or jobs might be plentiful for you. I don't know, whatever it is. You generally don't have to work very hard for things. Where here in the Philippines, you do generally have to work extremely hard and at a very young age. You're raising your brothers and sisters. You're doing laundry. You're cleaning, and even when you're 5 or 6 years old, you've learned responsibility and maturity comes a lot quicker, in my opinion. Again, and not every single situation. There's people born with a silver spoon here too, of course. If you're not ready for commitment, just don't. Honestly, because you know what, even in the West, you really shouldn't be doing it because it gets very expensive to get out of it, and you're just donating the money. And honestly, nowadays, you don't have to be at least where I'm from, it's common law after you're living together for 6 months, and so if you're living together already, all the legal stuff is already there. You already have to split your assets. You already have to do this. You have to do that. Like people don't even want to live together anymore because of that, because it's basically called marriage. You don't even a certificate anymore. And Canada is much more expensive. Yeah, Canada's gotten ridiculous. Oh my God. When we were there, we thought it was expensive, and it was. Um, we had a condo, and I've said this many times. It was so tiny, very, very small, and it was, I think it was 20 feet by 10 feet, but it was a loft. It had no walls or anything. Between, like the bedroom was just in the top part overlooking the living room. Very, very small place. And it was $2,500 a month rent. So you can imagine that was hugely expensive. So in Canada, you pay a progressive tax, and once you get over like $75,000 a year, you're up to 53% tax. It might have changed by the time we left. We left Canada 3 years ago. Keep that in mind. It's that rent, by the way, is probably 4,500 now. It's just gone insane in Canada. But yeah, you make this. So what ends up once it averages out, and if you make decent money, say you make 85 or $90,000, you're going to pay around 42% at averaging it out in taxes. So take away, say you make 80. So now you're left with, almost half. You're going to be maybe 44,000 left over, right? After taxes. You already have if you have a $2,500 a month rent just for a studio apartment, well, that's almost 30,000 right there. So you're left with like $15,000. And your car payment, your car insurance was $300 a month for me, and I had no accidents. I had no claims, nothing. And it was $300 a month. And my car payment was quite high, but that's because I would lease cars because I burned through them for my job all the time. And so my car payment was like $600-700. So it was like $1,000. So 12,000 was just that. And then you're supposed to live on $3,000-4,000 a year just for the food, your cell phone, your internet. It was just impossible. It was literally impossible in Canada to live when you make that kind of money. You can't live. Now I think they say you need like $150,000 a year to live a not extravagant life, but a life where you're not going, oh my God, we can't pay our electric bill, that kind of thing, which is absolutely insane. Mike, I am just drinking San Light. Brought a few up here. I wanted to sit in the air conditioning, so this is not the normal background. I just in a small room right now. A single room in Boston is $3K. See, there you go. A single room in Boston, $36,000 a year. Who can afford that? I swear to God, it just feels like monopoly money at that point because it's just getting expensive. And don't get me wrong, like the Philippines, they have inflation here too, but it's different and in different places. And like I was just at the grocery store 2 days ago, and it's just here at the GT Plaza, which is known as like a cheaper type of mall where you can get things inexpensively and everything. And I go into the grocery store there, and all I wanted was to get a little bit of meat, onions, potatoes, and make mashed potatoes with the meat and everything, and put some onions. I already had garlic in the potatoes and be done. The onions, two onions this big, right? 50 pesos each, so 100 pesos. I was like, "You're kidding me? You're kidding me? $1 per onion? It's absolutely insane. I'm gonna go grow onions up in the mountains here. Like, who wants in on this? Let's go. We're gonna grow potatoes. We're gonna grow onions. We're gonna grow garlic. What else is expensive here? Like everything that's expensive, and it's generally like carrots, those type of things. All the hardy stuff that can only be grown up in the mountains. Apparently, that's all we need to do, and we can be rich because that's insane. And I heard there's like this weird middleman scamming thing where they go up to the farmers and they buy up all their stuff, and then they charge like triple down here in this to the stores and everything else. And so there's all these middlemen where it'd be like, well, let's just link those farmers up with the actual distributors and let them make real profit because they got to be getting rich as a farmer at that price. I rent my basement out for $2,100 a month in Vancouver. Well, it's Vancouver, yeah, and that's actually probably pretty cheap in Vancouver, right? Like that, I bet that goes real quick. Single apartment in Oklahoma averages $1K. Yes, Oklahoma. I've been to Oklahoma and it's beautiful, but oh my God, there's nothing going on. and it's a long drive to get to the next anything. But for those who like the peace and quiet, that's a good place. And apparently at 1K a month, at least you can live there. But I believe the salaries and everything are much lower too. You're not making what a guy in New York City is making, obviously. So it's all perspective, right? Just like here, it's perspective that you can get rents. Like Bianca's friend was renting a house here for 6K a month, and it was a whole house, and so that's $120 a month, something like that. And you can't even imagine renting an entire house for $120 a month, right? And but it's all perspective based on how much money. Well, she's a student, so her parents were paying for it. Divorce really this is James. Divorce really isn't that much of an issue. It's remarriage that is the problem. That's a religious and state issue. Yeah, I agree. Strawberries, thank you. That was the other one. Strawberries, raspberries, yeah, and they're still seasonal, even up in the mountains. I know some people that do grow them. You can see one or two homeless that are, but are their family that are homeless in Canada, like here in the Philippines. One homeless family equals 10 plus living on the streets together. You know, that's an interesting thing. It's all definition of homeless. I've had a conversation with somebody recently. They said, "Oh, there's millions of people, reported to be homeless in the Philippines," and I'm like, I think they just word it differently. Like in Canada, we call somebody homeless. They literally live in the park with a blanket on them over them, right? They have nowhere to go. Where here they have makeshift homes, and I think the unhoused here is the ones that live in the shanties or whatever. They are considered homeless, but because they own the land, they don't technically own what they're living in, but they've been living there the whole lives, and the law doesn't allow them to be moved unless they relocate them. By law, they have to give them housing if they want to move them. And so that's kind of the thing. It's hard to define here is who is homeless. There are some in Manila, don't get me wrong, that do sleep on the streets, but overall in the whole country. And so then when we looked it up, according to the PSA, it was about 12,000 people in the whole country that are technically homeless, living on the street or in a park, no roof over their head at all, right? Not living in the slums or a shanty or whatever. I hate to call it that, but um, un, they don't own it. I'm trying to remember the word for it, but there is a much more polite word for that. And uh, yeah, so and that's the thing here. And also, it's year round. It's warm here, right? So in Canada, you're homeless, you freeze. You freeze. It doesn't matter if you're in Vancouver, you're going to freeze in the winter. And even in the United States, they travel often from Seattle, Portland, to San Francisco, then all the way down to LA to San Diego in order to avoid the winter. Right? They progress themselves all the way down and go all the way back up again as the weather changes. But here it's like warm year round. That's not really entirely an issue. The biggest thing here, I think, if you want to help people in the Philippines, is to teach them entrepreneurship. Like helping somebody start a business or something would be amazing here. What they say about teach a man to fish instead of just giving them fish. Because here, yeah, it's very, very important that people have a way out and not just give them a handout, that sort of thing. Oh, OKC is a beautiful state. Abusive men will be forced to pay child support. Yeah, well, and all men will be forced to pay child support. So that's very cool. Abusive men should probably go to jail. But but yes, they'll be forced to pay child support. Here in the country, there are deals with countries like Canada, United States, stuff like that. So if a foreigner gets a person pregnant here, they can make an application to the embassy, and the embassy will take the money from them in the United States or Canada and pay them here. So it does happen. But yes, under the new law, there will be child support. And there will be like who gets what and how often they get to see the children and or division of assets, all those type of things. In Tulsa, Metro, it's a decent sized city. Yeah, Tulsa is. Pay is low here. I agree on the child support. It's ridiculous in Oklahoma, even with 50-50 custody, you pay the women. Yes, if and often like if you're paying 200,000 over the time of the divorce, like, is it reasonable to think that that person also paid 200,000 on that same amount, right? And if it's not reasonable, then the law is probably skewed. It should be, okay, I'm paying my part, you're paying your part. Okay, we're good. The homeless have options in Canada. There's welfare and homeless shelters in the Philippines. There are subsidy. These subsidies are rare. Yeah, yeah. Well, there's like again, which homeless, that kind of thing. And but you're 100% right. It's not. It's like everything here. You there isn't enough social services for everything. Like we have wild dogs, we have everything. But do I see homeless children wandering around? No, I don't see that. I know people. We have this impression, and apparently Philippines used to be like that all the time. But there are always parents everywhere. There's families are always together. Maybe it's because I'm so skewed now, being living in Iloilo so long that I know one person that sleeps on the sidewalks here. I know exactly where they are in the city, in that same spot, and I think they have some kind of addiction problem, that kind of thing. People give them money every day, and they lay in the exact same spot. I don't know anything more about it, but as far as I know, like that's the only one I've ever seen sleeping in the streets here. But listen, I try to focus on the positives. The Philippines has come a long, long way. One of the largest growing GDPs, job growth like crazy. So many companies are hiring all the time. Wages are going up because, well, there's more people hiring, so therefore there's more options for people to choose from. And yeah, so I like to focus on the positives. There's so many positives going on in the Philippines right now that it is not what people have seen in the past and where they've come from, and it's happening all over the country that things are being raised. And I see every time in my Facebook feed government agencies now raising the wages of the people that work for the government, and like the city's now paying more. I saw nurses; they're going to be doubling all nurses that work for public institutions, so public hospitals, cities, and stuff like that. They're doubling the starting wage right out of university from, don't quote me on the exact number, 36-ish thousand. It is now, maybe it's 33, and it's going to 63,000 or 66. So I just don't remember which one had the three or the six, but it's a huge amount that it's going up, and that will hopefully retain a lot more nurses here where they're desperately needed. It would be interesting to find, this is Robbie, it would be interesting to find how many annulment cases there are in the Philippines. That would prove that even with great difficulty, couples find ways to dissolve insufferable union. True, but I know lots of people that have gotten them, and they've all said the same thing. Many years, upwards of 400,000 pesos. It is really hard to get. Many just choose to live separately and never get remarried, and because it's obviously a lot cheaper and no headaches. So, but it'd be interesting to know that you're right. You go to California, oh boy, homeless is everywhere. Crime is skyrocketing. Drugs is rampant. That is why people are moving to various states. When I was there, I was in San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego. I've been all over, and oh my gosh, and that was 10 years ago. The people that we were with, they parked their car. We went in the building. We came out. The windows were already smashed and everything was stolen out. And we were like 3.5 minutes maybe, and that was 10 years ago. And people taking, doing a number two on the sidewalk right there in front of you, and they don't care that they're being watched. Nothing. They were everywhere. The people were everywhere. And I've talked about this before, and God rest his soul. My brother was homeless by choice, right? He spent his life being a free spirit, I guess you could call it. And he would go from like living in hostels where he would exchange his time to work at the front counter sometimes, but it was the best place to get drugs, right? Because a lot of drug people would show up at hostels, and he would just be able to get some from them for free. And then he used to ride trains, like cargo trains, to go from one place to another, sleep in the bushes, sleep in the woods, and then do a lot of, street sleeping and everything else. And, and drugs overtook him. Like he died of fentanyl poisoning this year. And it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But it's like an escape from the responsibilities of life. And in his case, that was his whole thing. He was like, I'm never going to get a job. I'm never going to work. I'm never going to work for the man. And he called me a sucker for working for the man, sort of thing, having a job. And yeah, it's like, it's not much different than the guy who says, I'm just going to go live in Alaska and just live basic and hunt my own food and that kind of thing, because he sees his freedom from following what everybody else has to follow. And that was kind of my brother's sort of thing, except for, you know, he was looking for money from anybody and everybody, and the government gave him money. And he eventually convinced the doctors say he had a bad back, and so they gave him disability. And I'm like, disability from what? And then he just backpacked all across South America with it and could buy all the drugs he wanted. You know, it's sad. It's unfortunate. But the solution is not just give money. Unfortunately, that's proof right there. Just giving money. And we had that situation where children trying to ask us, you know, when I say children, I'm talking like 6 years old in Angeles City. And you can see the parents are nearby. They send the kids to do the dirty work and to beg for money and everything. And if you give them money, they buy drugs. Or the money doesn't go to them anyway. So you try to give them food, and the next thing you know, they're selling the food. Terrible. We probably have 1,000 homeless people in my city, and about 50 die every winter since we get up to -5 degrees Fahrenheit and up to 115 degrees Fahrenheit. They die from the heat and the cold. Wow. And if you, I don't know where you're from, but if you throw in there, like if you're from the United States or Canada or whatever, then you can throw in there all the drug addiction stuff and how many people OD. The numbers are enormous. Never thought, this is Jerry saying, never thought divorce would be ever allowed in the Philippines, being an old school Catholic tradition. You know what? I thought it would be a very long time too. But when Ireland did it, that was shocking as well. And it just came out of left field because Ireland is, you think we're Catholic here, Ireland's darn near 100%. So I was quite shocked there too. John says, when I move there, my plan is to lift people up. I'm planning to settle several up in business for themselves, shipping my tools there to teach them and then give them tools to get started. See, that's great. That's fantastic. There are lots of cool ways we'll be able to help out one day. We're same thing, sort of thing. We're like, we want to be able to help people, help them succeed, and like, just got to find a way. We right now we just cover our bills to stay alive right now, but one day we'll have opportunities, and when we do, that's the kind of thing we want to think of is how can we help them. And I don't want to help them by like, hey, let's just buy you some inventory to have a sorries are horrible businesses. There's just one in every little tiny corner here, and you barely etch out a living, and it's not the solution. You know, you want to be inventive. We're from the West. We're supposed to know these things, like come up with new ideas, new designs, new things, you know, something that's totally unique. And then they'll be able to make, you know, greater money for their family, and then it'll snowball down, and their grandchildren will even be going to college and everything because everybody was successful all the way. Is Bianca streaming another room? No. So she's at a like a rave nightclub party sort of thing. She was invited to, so she's there tonight. The people in the Philippines remind me how the U.S. was in the mid-'60s. Great people. You know, I was just having this conversation yesterday, and we were saying about like how friendly everybody here is, and how just all smiles and happiness, and it doesn't matter where we go. It's just walking there, and everybody's saying hello, hello, and people. How many people offering you shots as you just walk down the road, and they're like, hey, you want a shot? You want a shot? And having come join them and just hang out. They don't know you. And you can say, well, yeah, that's because you're a foreigner. And I'm like, okay. Go to Canada as a foreigner. How many people are going to offer you? Go to America as a foreigner. Go down the street. How many people offering you a shot? How many people even saying hello to you? That's not going to happen. So not a good argument. People here are just absolutely amazing, absolutely friendly. Just I can't give them enough credit. It's been wonderful. Robbie says you can grow onions anywhere in the Philippines. It's super easy. Oh, I thought hardy vegetables, they all had to be in the cooler climates. So I was unaware of that, but I know like potatoes, strawberries, those kind of things. They have to be grown further up. I'm going to be honest, I didn't look that deep into it, but I go to the grocery store, they have no potatoes. I also was under the assumption the fact that potatoes are rare here and onions are rare here, that they only grow in the cooler temperatures. So you got to go to Baguio or up in Antique, that kind of thing. But correct me if I'm wrong. And garlic. I don't know if maybe it's just the moisture down here, but maybe you're right, Robbie. I really wouldn't know, to be honest. I thought they only grew there. In Iloilo City, Erica, people are very friendly and soft spoken. Yeah, and their language is just smooth. I don't know how to explain it any other way. It's very, very smooth. And and you're right, very soft spoken. It's another thing we saw recently something. Oh yeah, we saw this guy. He was drunk, and we were waiting for the ferry, and he was coming out of one of the alleys, and he was trying to fight with this guy, and we're like, oh my god, I think this is our very first. We've been here almost 2 years. Our very first time we've ever seen a fight in the Philippines at all, and it's not a fight, okay? It's him trying to grab and yell at him or whatever, and all of the family members are all separating them and trying to push them apart and that kind of thing. That's the most we've ever seen here. Pretty amazing. Soft spoken even when they're upset or mad. Yeah, you probably wouldn't know half the time. They just give you that look at the same time, and that's about it. For Catholics, remarriage is not permitted without annulment from the church. Right, yeah, in the law that they're talking about, they did say they have it in there that the annulment has to be approved by the church first too, because the church here wants you to do counseling, and they want to try very hard to rescue your marriage, right? And you're in a country that has a great deal of Catholics. They also have a great deal of Christians. What was it, Iglesias, I think is the number one church here in all of the Philippines, that kind of thing. And so, and now we've seen some mega churches starting to show up and that kind of thing. So I think you're going to see that Catholics might actually the Christians might overtake the Catholics even. I'm not even sure. Somebody can help me with that, but I see those Iglesias churches absolutely everywhere. And they're like a business church or something. I don't know. Maybe somebody else knows. I just know that they're not the typical churches. They're more like the members only churches. You can even grow an onion with just a cup of water. Well, there you go. I'm going to start growing some onions. We got a coconut or 2 coconuts that we just put in water, and they're just sprouting and growing, right? And they've never had soil because they're using the shell of the coconut, I guess, as food or something. I'm like, what am I going to do with these? I have nowhere to plant them. I guess when I get there, I'm going to have to invite you over. Green onions are easy. Oh, green onions! I haven't even seen green onions in the Philippines. So fantastic. I thought you meant just onions, like the big, hearty, hard onions. Well, in the Philippines, there's a lot of those little ones, but getting the yellow onions or whatever. But green onions, I absolutely love those. But come to think of it, I can't say I've ever seen any green onions here. So maybe. At least not a long time. Let's say that. Not a long time at a grocery store, at a market, or anything like that. I think it's just not commonly used in cooking here. All right. So where are we at now? We still got people here. All right. Want to make sure. You can even grow a banana tree in your backyard. Well, I can't grow in my backyard, unfortunately, because we don't have any, we're all cemented. So everything we have is pots. All the way around our house is all cement. All the way around, they decided to use tiles all the way. Good. Guess what? We have no ants. You can leave sugar out on the counter, and there won't be any ants or anything like that. But you don't have the ability to go walk in the grass or sit out in the grass or anything like that. I do kind of wish we had a real backyard, because that would be amazing. And I miss that. Like when we were in Boracay, that house. Oh. That house is absolutely beautiful. I don't know if my friend's still living there. I don't think he is. I think he moved to Manila. So it might be available. If anybody's looking for a place to live in Boracay, you want to check out that house we had, because I just love sitting out there. I sat out there every day. And here with just the cement, the sun baking it down, it's not the same. I really wish we held off and just kept looking. We love the house, but that's the one part. I really wish we had a backyard. I love just being a little bit of nature going on. Yeah, so I did that one already. Thank you very much. American, but in Davao City. Fantastic. Oh, okay. Well, I'll look. I've been in Hypermart recently, but sometimes they sell out because they bring in only so much. If the average person doesn't use it in their cooking, even if they bring it in, they're not going to bring in very much. They're going to bring in they don't want it to go bad, obviously. But can anybody explain this? How is it that our tomatoes, potatoes, onions, whatever, like tomatoes is the biggest shock for me. How is it that we can buy them here from the market, bring them home, and a month later they're still firm? How? At home, you buy them, and the next day they're already starting to turn soft, and within 3 days they're dead. Somebody explained to me what they do to tomatoes that they actually last forever here. I'm absolutely blown away. I have no idea how that's possible, but they do last. It's incredible. Oh, hello, Dawn. Yeah, it has been a long, long time. Hello, hello. Give my love to Bianca from Love from Florida. Thank you very much, Dawn. Wow, it has been forever since I've seen you on here. Well, hello again. You can make a raised bed garden over the cement. Yeah, the only thing is we're not going to stay. So we have what, 6, 7 months left here. We're already planning out. We really want to. We've already talked about this several times. We want to get something just on the outskirts of the city. So we got to focus on saving enough to be able to get a vehicle of some sort so we can go back and forth. And then we want to get like a little plot of land and build on it. But while we do that, we're going to rent like a cheap apartment, like something small in the city. So because we know that it's going to take time before we can have like a permanent thing with internet and electricity and lights and probably air conditioning, to be honest. And we'll only be able to afford so much at a time, that kind of thing. So we have a whole plan that we're going to do after this. And so for us to build a raised garden bed, and we have to remove everything and bring it back to the original way we got it, and only 6 months from now. Yeah. Any plans of buying a scooter anytime soon? Yeah, I want to, but again, money. Um, yeah, they're about 85,000 to like for a good one. If like I could buy a used one for 35, 40, right? But I just don't want the breakdowns that might happen from it and all the maintenance and everything else. Yeah. And now we have to focus on probably getting a car or something that we can move things back and forth if we're going to get some property that we can work on. We're going to lease it at first so we can buy it out, do this whole thing. So there's a lot of things that we're just holding off until we can afford it. Must be the weather. For OFWs, the family separated for years, decades even. A legal divorce may solve a huge family problems. Yeah. Yeah, a legal divorce is going to solve a lot of people's problems. And I think it's going to be incredible to watch the first couple of years. The backlog, because it's going to be free for anybody who can't afford it. So there's going to be a lot of people filing because they've been already living separated for 20 years, 15 years, whatever. Those already exist all over the place. You can just imagine the backlog, and you're going to be able to. And I guess for years it'll be like in Western media or something. They'll be talking about like, oh, families are falling apart but no, these people haven't been together forever. It's just now going to become official. It'll just be, but now the rest of the world will see the actual number. They pick the tomatoes green. True, but we get them and they're red, and then a month later they're still good. But yeah, if I buy them when they're green, then yeah, I do expect that probably last a little longer. But yeah, but the potatoes, like I feel like they just don't grow. Like they don't continue. Like they don't get soft. They don't get soggy here, and even the onions and the garlic and everything. It takes a very, very long time. There's a lot of kind of tomatoes. Maybe that's why. Yeah, Philippines has smaller tomatoes. They do. We generally still buy relatively big ones, but you're right. We don't get the big beefeater. I think it's called beefeater or something like the big monsters. We don't get those here. I missed the first hour. We'll replay once it ends. All right, Don. Well, that's where we actually talked about the divorce. Now we're just talking about fruits and vegetables and everything else. We'll clip it out anyway because we have that other channel. We haven't put in. We're just putting clips and stuff like that into it now because we have to get qualified for monetization because we do have to make enough to live. So we don't put anything, but once we hit the 4,000 hours of watch time that is required, then we'll start putting like good content there because it's named differently. It's called That's So Interesting. And so we'll be able to do more than what we do now, which is just very travel and living in the Philippines centric. And we can do more ones about like cool facts and stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to that because then we're not pigeonholed into a smaller box. But yeah, so we'll put the clips over there. If you're looking for them, I'll make sure it's linked over here too. But because everybody wants to watch an hour or 2 hour long things when we can just clip it up. I'm planning to move to Iloilo and do vlogs where I act like a hippie and other characters, but it's just a dream. All right. Well, everybody's welcome in Iloilo. It's a very progressive city. So you can act like hippies and people would be like, okay, not very judgmental here. How about buying one of these foldable scooters? The thing about here is the roads aren't exactly always great, right? You're going up into mountains, you're going up dirt roads, you're going all these different places. Like if you're going to get something, you're going to spend money on it. You want it to be available to, because I can get around locally, right? We can jump on a bus, we can get in a taxi, we can do all these things. So I want the stuff that can take us outside of that basics, and just go explore. And so a foldable scooter, I just can't imagine that's going to allow me to just go wherever you want, right? So that would be really fun. And that's why we're going to focus on something like that. Just trying to get a good gas powered with enough horsepower to climb a mountain into the Antique, that kind of thing, and just be able to go and explore and do cool things. I would love to do that, and we've been trying to do that. I even have videos that I recorded, never ever did anything with them because I never fell through with it. But I went to the scooter places one after another, asked them the prices. Most of them wouldn't even tell me the prices. It was interesting, but I wanted to finalize something, and then I never did. So. What's grown there is probably organic. Here in New York, it's usually picked before it's ripe because it's going to overripe on the counter. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is there something to do with like how and when they pick it? And also, what is the logistics? Maybe, especially in Canada, if it's winter, then it's coming from Florida, it's coming from California, and maybe it's 2 weeks old by the time it even hits our shelves. We're here that morning. They delivered at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's on the shelves here today. So maybe that's why it literally was picked 6, 7, 8 hours or 12 hours ago or something like that. That's so interesting. Yeah, so it's going to be a reaction channel, but it's just going to be the things that don't really fit a travel vlog or a daily life living in the Philippines. And we keep running into those situations where we find something super interesting and super crazy or whatever, something going on. And it just doesn't make sense to post it here. We'll have that other channel and we'll be able to post on there regularly. And some of it'll definitely have to do with the Philippines, but maybe it'll have something to do with something they discovered in India. I don't know. Maybe it'll have something they discovered in Antarctica or something under the ocean. We won't be limited. And that's what we were thinking that would be fun to do and do our reaction stuff. The reaction stuff is we just keep getting copyright strike that we just finally said, okay, we have to stop doing these. Okay, fantastic. Well, we'll take the double view. Thank you, Vaughn. Appreciate it. Anyway, so yeah, we got a lot going on this week, and I'm hoping to, because Bianca's been very busy. She's just doing the cosplay, the dance, the modeling. She's going to be modeling on the runway soon, at least one time, if not 2 times. And I'm talking in front of like some of the most powerful people in the Philippines, black tie, super, everybody eating dinner, very expensive and all that, fancy, and while she walks the runway, it's going to be really cool. I'll show some of it, of course. And but yeah, there'll be a lot going on with that because that's coming. And so there's like several different things that she has to do, like sizing, and they do different things to get them ready, explain which way you have to walk on the catwalk and all that stuff. And then but her cosplay stuff's going on like crazy. And then we have Halloween stuff going on like crazy. But after all that, maybe next week, I'm just going to rent a bike and I'm just going to head up the coast north where we've never been, never done all that stuff up there. And there's beautiful places up there. I'll let her do her thing, and I'm just going to go solo. I don't like sitting still, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to just hit up a bunch of spots, lay on a bunch of beaches. That'd be pretty cool. Hello, Mallory. Welcome back. I know it's it's only like 7 o'clock for you or something, right? I know there was a time change in the U.S., right? Fall back, so back 1 hour, but and it's not 12 hours anymore. How is Iloilo progressive? In every single way. Literally, they just made a city department here, LGBTQ. It's like a city department, like with offices, and their only job is for LGBTQ plus things. I see it all the time. I'm not sure they plan all the events, but they if you have any problems, you can report to them and everything. We have people here that Yeah, it's just all progressive. Everything progressive you can ever imagine is here in Iloilo City. It's like being in the West. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm going to be doing. So later, it'll probably be like after November 1st, because then we have the Day of the Dead, and we're going to this um, cemetery where they still do the same thing they've been doing for 100 years. We're going to be going to the experience that sort of thing. After that, that's what I plan to do. The parts of the island I've never been in the Panay, all the way up. I got Higantes and Cavite and all these places. I've never been up there. Sara. So that's the plan. Gonna head right up there and just explore everything. You should start a big housing addition on a big lot of land and call it Expatville and build a bunch of modern houses. Yeah, well, I'm not made $1 million, so we don't have that kind of money, but that is a cool idea. You could definitely do that. Now, for us, it would be much more simple. We were talking about it where we would do like a bamboo hut, but we'd have concrete walls, and then we would put the bamboo on the outside and make it look like still like it's the old, to the eye, you would not know that we have air conditioning in there and it's all that. But we really loved that what we had in San Joaquin up on the hill there, that little pool and everything, just looking out. And then we could have, Bianca loves animals. We can have cows and we can have all kinds of things and pigs and everything. And our vlog will just become a daily thing of her bringing her cows over with their bows and their pink nails and everything, chickens everywhere. And think about it. It would be a pretty cool vlog to watch of us literally living this weird, crazy country life, but then also going to the city and doing all kinds of crazy things too, and traveling around. So, okay, it's 8:20 there. Okay, so it is still 3 hours apart. Okay. Oh, a week from now. Okay. Yeah, that's right, because I have something in my schedule for November 14th, and I noticed the time. He said 10 p.m. It's going to be. It's a podcast that we're going to be on, a Canadian one, and it shows on my calendar as 11. So I was so confused. So there you go. It hasn't started yet. Nice getting to know important people, connections, making it easier to start a business, charity, etc. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, we've been very, very lucky. We've met so many people with really strong connections everywhere, and it's allowed us to do a lot more things than we could technically afford. So we really appreciate that. If somebody opens the door and says, "Oh, you want to come to this event?" and some of the events we go to get access to that VIP area was 4,000 pesos or 4,500 pesos, but they just bring us in. We didn't have to pay for it. It's like, oh, thank you. We would not have done this VIP thing. We were just done with the public and just walk around and we'd figure it out. But sometimes we were lucky enough to the connections get us in. I'm going to Palawan in January and maybe Thailand if my Panay can get through immigration for a 5-day trip. Yeah, it's tough, eh? But I think Thailand, it's a little easier to get them to go there. Palawan, yeah, we still haven't been there, but absolutely beautiful. I think February we're going to the one that's near Taiwan, that island, and it's the most expensive flight in the Philippines. And a friend of ours has 500,000 points. And she's like, I want you guys to go and check this place out. You're not even going to believe it. Almost nobody goes there because it's so expensive, and everything's expensive on the because it's so far, so remote. It's right at Taiwan. It's like right at the border. But it's such a cool place. And she's like, she's going to use 25,000 of her points to get us the tickets because she has a lot. And we were like, oh my God, thank you. Like, that's so cool. We would never, like, just the cost value for us, we just couldn't comprehend buying those tickets. So that was so cool. And so apparently February, something like that, we're going to be going up there. Rojas City has a festival December 5th to 8th. Sinadia festival celebrating Mama Mary. It will be fun, street dancing and parades. Oh, okay. I don't know where I put my thing, but I'm going to write that down because we do have to go back to Rojas because that storm, that typhoon wiped us out last time, so that we had to leave. Didn't wipe us out, but it scared us to go home, and we said we'll be back. So we will. December 5th to 8th. All right, I made a note. Thank you very much. Hello, Paul. Hello, hello. Yeah, will you have a pig with lips? Trust me, with Bianca, everything's possible, okay? Everything's possible. Well, it's 11:30 at night. It's not today anymore, but she is at a rave or night part. She's at some. It's called Haze. I don't know. It's a rooftop party going on at a hotel. So for tonight, she's out having time of her life. I don't know what to say. She can't join us for this, but we'll do another live on Sunday morning. I think she has cosplay, so I won't be able to. She won't be able to join then too. But we'll do something. Maybe I can invite somebody else to come over and join. Yeah, I thought Thailand wouldn't be a problem. It's the exit visa. It's not so much getting a visa to go to that country. It's getting the Philippines exit visa as a Philippine citizen to let you leave. Their big reason for doing the being so difficult is that they're afraid that people are lying about why they're leaving the country and that they're going to work, and that person told them not to say you're going to go to work, and then they will be exploited because if the Philippines is tracking you as an OFW, they will make sure you're being paid properly. You're actually being paid. You're not being. They won't take away your passport. All that. They can stay in connection with you. And if you, a lot of the employer will be like, just tell them you're going for a holiday. Just get in there, and then what they do is they basically take your passports and they don't pay you for months, and now they're like, oh, we'll pay you next month. Oh, we'll pay you next month, and you're like a nanny or a housekeeper or whatever is going on. And they basically have you trapped, and that's been an experience, and that's what the government says they're looking to protect. And so they're very strict. Like, are you really going on vacation? They really, really care about that here. And so I'm told that's why it's so hard to get an exit visa to leave the Philippines, not so much the country that's going to accept you. All right. If I'm not mistaken, that Mega World location at Iloilo City used to be the location of the former. Yep, you're 100%. It was the Iloilo City Airport, and they moved it right outside, which was absolutely beautiful for expansion and growth. They're building. They announced the second terminal is now being built, adding more international flights because of it, because it's getting a little too crowded. Um, and I believe construction is starting very, very quickly on that too. They're not waiting. It did free up like a lot of land here for the major developers to go in. There's the other side of it that people are like, wow, they really paid favorites. They gave the biggest corporations in the Philippines the best flat, smooth, perfect land, and just handed them a treat. I've heard that kind of thing, like basically a sweetheart deal. But either way, now you look at Iloilo, you go to these areas and people are blown away. So I think the city benefited tremendously. Oh, they opened a Jollibee's near me in California. Oh, fantastic. There you go. I had Jollibee's just recently. Honestly, what I absolutely missed, and I finally had it, McDonald's egg and sausage. Um, what my brain's not working. What the hell? Not sandwich. What do they call them? Um, McMuffin. Thank you. McMuffin. So I just had one of those after months, years. I don't even know when the last time I had one. It was like magic in my mouth. It was absolutely god tier. And it's only available at two McDonald's in the whole city. And we have many McDonald's in the city. Only two of them do it. And only available in the morning, not all day breakfast. And I'm usually, if we are up in the morning, it's because we have to leave immediately. We're going out to vlog. Otherwise, I'm up all night editing, going to bed at 3, 4 in the morning, and I sleep past, and I never get to order it. So it was magic. It was absolutely magic. Just a total random thing. Oh, Big Ed, there you go. Yeah, they're good at preventing abuse by not even interviewing the employer of the OFW. Interesting. I didn't know that. Uh, all I know is they like to track the people, but I don't think they can force somebody in South Korea or some other country to talk with them. So I'm not sure if that would even be possible, or to get somebody in Saudi Arabia or something like that. They would just be like, I'll hire somebody from another country. Then if you're going to be difficult, I'm not going to answer questions to your thing. So it's got to be a balance somewhere in there, but I know it's about keeping track of the actual Filipinos. With many expats retiring in the Philippines, are there high-end assisted living complexes there? Not in just the Iloilo, but other cities perhaps? Yeah, definitely in the bigger, like Manila and Cebu and Davao. I my understanding is they're building a big new one in Santa Barbara near the airport. I haven't seen it yet or anything, but there are some. There are some. I don't think it's that common yet, but if it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Everything is working out that way. Like the rumors that Medicaid will be accepted here, and therefore then money will be able to come from the United States Medicaid system to upgrade the hospitals so that if Americans need medical treatment, they can go to those hospitals and get that level of care. Means a lot of money is going to flow over here, and it's going to bring a lot of people, and then that means everything that comes from that is going to happen. So if that actually happens, and America's just announced another 4 bases that they're going to share here and put even more people here, I could see it potentially happening. That's for sure. So we'll have to see. Having international flights in some key cities in the Philippines would help decongest. Yeah, yeah, definitely. They keep adding more and more here. Apparently, before the pandemic, there was a ton of international flights into Iloilo. Like they just added them, 2018, 19, that kind of thing. And then the pandemic, and then boom, only so many came back. And then slowly, the mayor has been pushing, and he keeps putting it on his Facebook, asking all the different companies to please add more international flights. And even though it's not the Iloilo airport's not in Iloilo City, but and then yes, they've come through and said, okay, we're going to add this country, this country, this country. So they've been adding a lot more countries so that you can literally fly to Singapore and then Singapore to here, that kind of thing. All right, I'm bringing Bianca like 10 pounds of cheese and a bunch of other stuff when I come. Okay, just make sure you check what the legal allowed. I'm pretty sure cheese is fine, I believe, but like nuts, meats, there's certain things that are legal to import, so just be careful. Yeah, I don't know the purpose, Big Ed, of why they track the Filipinos. I don't believe they tax them if they're not making money here, but maybe you can help us. Why do they track them? I'm not sure. You can buy McMuffins at McDonald's in the Philippines. Yeah, exactly. Two of them in our city have McMuffins. But then again, our McDonald's here have a bunch of things that you do. Do you get rice at McDonald's in Canada or in the United States? No. Like every meal comes with rice here. You get the fries, don't get me wrong, but rice is also an option. And like fried chicken is normal. Big part of their whole menu is fried chicken. There's so many different things that we have here that they don't have there either. And okay, Mallory, we'll see you later. Assisted living, hopefully not high-rise buildings. That would be awful. It should be more like a village. Yeah, like there's different levels of assisted living, right? There's the ones that are maybe 2 stories and they have a communal area and everything, and they have nurses on board and just people. You have your own room, but there's scheduled activities if you wanted them or if you don't want them. They have meals prepared, those kind of things. And then there's the other side where it's a little bit more where you have, like you said, you can have their own home or something in there, and then but there's still the access to all the facilities and services. So there's different stages and tiers of assisted living. Um, yeah, but right now there'd be more like the scheduled things, music, coming together area, have your own rooms, meals are prepared, those type of things, they do already exist. All right, Jordan. Well, thank you very much. I'm not sure what it was, but assisted living is typically for the last 2 to 3 years of life. A stroke or major disability, people aren't taking 15-hour flights for assisted living. Yeah. So yes, they do have some available for expats. They're just pretty costly if you want the really good ones. Planning Iloilo in 3 weeks. I hope it's a good place for an American man. We like to meet lots of ladies. Yeah, yeah. Well, it is and it isn't. Iloilo, we tell people all this time, there is no hangout for you to pick up. It's not Dumaguete. It's not Angeles City. It's not that kind of place. Even Cebu has a lot more of that kind of thing. Here, yes, you still can meet people. Don't get me wrong, but there's not like a place you can just hang out and girls hit on you. That's maybe in the grocery store, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's a very conservative in one way, and that is family, 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 right? And they don't really have, like, if you go to the nightclubs, they're going to be full of college students, but they're generally, um, their ambitions are not marrying a foreigner for most part. They are all going to go to university. They're going to make the best money. Maybe they're going to go overseas or whatever, and they just not. They're not looking for anything from people there. So it's just going to be different. It's a different experience. I know it. Even as a married man, I know it. I go to Cebu and we go to IT Park, and I got girls, business suit, whatever, with their ID badge or whatever, hitting on me left, right, and center. And I'm sitting there just eating, and they're walking by, and they're just smiling and hi and doing all that. I see the difference. That will not happen here. That does not happen here. At least far as I know, it's never happened here. And when I'm in Angeles City, all those things. Those are places where if you're just single and mingling, you got your places. This is like the suburbs. It's a city, but it acts a lot like a suburb. And so there's a lot of families here, and there are a lot of single professionals, maybe. So, there are lawyers and engineers and those kind of things. People with big ambitions in life, that kind of thing. So that's how I'd best describe it all. And so I just don't want anybody disappointed. I'm sure you can still pick up here and go. Yes, they have a few strip clubs here. They're pretty empty. I'm just going to be honest with you. We walk by these things at 11 o'clock, and there's not many people in them. So is that a big scene here? No, it's not really a big scene here. And then the bars and the clubs, you'll probably be the only foreigner in there. And the music's so loud, nobody's really looking for that. I don't know. Maybe it's my perspective, and it could be entirely wrong, but I don't meet a lot of single guys out here that are having success picking up. They met them online and come here. Yeah, it happens, but I don't know. I just don't see the big scene for it. All right, so here we are, almost an hour and 40 minutes in. So I think that's pretty decent. Like I said, we're probably going to do something Sunday morning on a live. A different crowd can make it because a lot of people are at work right now in the Western world, and 60% of our audience is not in the Philippines. So a lot of them would probably prefer a morning one on like Sunday morning because that's Saturday night for them. So we'll do something like that on Sunday night. I want to thank you, or Sunday morning, sorry. I thank you all for joining, and I hope we'll all see you later. By the way, if you haven't seen it yet, uploaded a video today, and go check it out because this guy came from California. And he has a really cool plan, and he bought these plots for super cheap, and it's such a beautiful place. You got to check it out. And tomorrow we'll have a video where I went to Container Homes, a manufacturer, to see what kind of homes they have available for. If you just buy a plot of land, you can cheaply just have these things delivered. Boom, done. You have a house. Time to live. So I thought that was really interesting to go check out. And I went with Jerry, who I showed the property today with, on the video, and I think you guys will really love it. So that being said, thank you all for joining. I want to thank you all for being here, and I hope you'll click like, even though you might be leaving. Doesn't cost you anything, doesn't hurt, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad. I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad. Doing no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad. Yeah. Baby, I'm bad.
I just wanna stay bad, stay mad. Chip on my shoulder, cause they treat me like an outcast. I ain't gonna take that, stay back. I'll be swinging hard till the hits come in all caps. I ain't gonna lay back, pray that someone's gonna help me, ain't nobody like that. I ain't gonna wait, that's all fact. Give me one shot and I'll never get the throne back. I'm sick of being cautious, I'ma go cause something, can't stop this. I'ma steal everybody's lane, call it shoplift. Sick of hearing everyone complain when they thoughtless. replace the pain. It's like candy canes, it makes me go change into a better frame, into a better name. Society's insane, we all live for fame, yeah. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad.